Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, TK here. We're kicking off episode 11 here, Tipsy Toe Drag Podcast. So we got the regular two here, Cam and Clayton, and we also got our friend Bryce on here for a guest host tonight, so it should be a fun one. Bryce, how's it going? Welcome online here.
Thanks for having me, boys. Should be good.
You betcha.
Oh, definitely. It's been a while. We're trying to get you to go on earlier, and you just finally decided to when it meant.
If people wanted me to bash the Oilers, I don't know. You guys are trying to get a following here. I don't think they want to hear somebody bash their team right off the start.
Well, I'm pretty much bashing Oilers every day with Trent, so it's okay.
Yeah, actually, we already have an Oilers basher on the show, so.
I'm an Oilers fan and an Oilers hater.
Yeah. It's a bittersweet, relationship there with you, Cam, there with the Oilers. But
actually, I think it was a pretty good balance because I think it was Trent was kind of Trent was the homer a bit, and Cam is negative Nancy, and I was kind of right in the middle, I think.
I'm only like this because of Trent. Trent's too optimistic for me to be that optimistic.
And it just frustrates you. You've told me behind the scenes.
That's fair, yeah. Given like that point prediction I had for McDavid and everything, like
his positive attitude just pisses you off.
Too positive. Glass half full
Trent,
all the time.
Yeah, Trent, you piss me off. I'm just kidding.
Don't ever change, Trent.
Yeah.
Right on.
We'll see how.
Yeah, freaking right. So, well, we're gonna go through some kind of like our team predictions for this season. So we're basically gonna just go through each division, give kind of our high level takes on where we're going to see each team kind of fall, and then kind of just give a brief description of why we think they're going to kind of end where they are. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start with the Eastern Conference first. Why don't we start with the Atlantic Division? So what do you guys think kind of with those 8 teams? So we got Tampa Bay, Florida, Boston, Toronto, Montreal, Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo for the 8.
Since Bryce, our guest today, let's get him to start off of his predictions for that division.
All right.
Go on after that.
Well, this one was kind of relatively easy, I feel like. So the order, I picked Florida going first, and then Tampa coming in second, with Boston and Toronto rounding it out for 3 and 4. Then after that, it was Ottawa for 5th, Montreal, Detroit, and then Buffalo. That was kind of my order.
You think Ottawa's going to do pretty decent this year, don't you?
I mean, I think it's better than Montreal, Detroit, and Buffalo. I feel like
that's fair. Yeah,
that's kind of my reasoning behind
Montreal.
that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think if you were going to look at a consensus for the top 4 teams at least in this division, like if you're comparing the different divisions, like this one, it's going to be Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Boston. I think most people are going to say that. I had Tampa first, Florida, Toronto, then Boston, but like kind of almost any combination of those teams are just powerhouses compared to the rest in that division. So I had Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Boston, and then I had Montreal, Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo. So pretty similar.
Yeah.
Cam, what about you?
I was a little bit different. Well, I guess similar as well for the top 4, but the bottom was different. So I had Tampa Bay, Florida, then Boston, Toronto, and then I had Montreal, Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo. I still think the factor of Carey Price and all that, he's still going to have a big season, and I think he's enough to, push Montreal still to fight for a playoff spot, but I don't think they'll make it. Detroit, I don't know. I just don't feel Ottawa's going to have that great of a season, so I think Detroit's going to overtake them. At least in points wise. And then Buffalo's just pure dog shit, so I hope they finish last.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm pretty close to what all you guys had. I think Florida's going to take first in that division. Tampa is going to be right there, right behind them in second. And then Boston's going to be third. Toronto's going to get in, but they're going to be a pretty good lead over Montreal for 5th. And then I have Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo, of course, dead last. Like Cam said, Buffalo is just dog shit, and Ottawa should have a decent go, I think. But now I think they're going to be playing some harder teams too. They had some pretty good success even in the Canadian division. And then Detroit. I mean, we just seen today they lost Jacob Vrana for minimum 4 months. That's a huge blow for their offense.
That is a huge blow, yeah.
But I still have Ottawa behind Detroit. I think I might have to switch it now after this injury update here. Like I think Ottawa could surpass them in the standings, and then
I forgot about the Verana. You mentioned it earlier, and I totally. I thought I assumed he's still playing for Washington. I forgot about the Verana for what's his name, Mantha trade.
Mantha.
I guess my question here is with this division, like we all have Toronto last for that.
I
division.
don't.
Clay doesn't.
The last. Sorry. Yeah, okay, well, third, but like, do you think there's a chance that Toronto could push top 2 over Tampa or Florida, or they didn't make enough moves in offseason to justify it?
I feel like just Florida and Tampa are just kind of above those other two teams even.
Too dominant, yeah.
Like
I think so as well.
Florida's like just got Reinhart. That's a pretty big ad for them. I feel like, and Ekblad hopefully is healthy for them. On top of like Uyghur, and like that team is just pretty solid from top to bottom. And then Tampa's Tampa.
Joe Thornton.
But do you think? Well, you have Florida first, Bryce. So you think Florida, aside from their goaltending, is enough to? Well, aside from their offense, is enough to overtake Tampa Bay for first?
Well,
because like their goaltending.
If you look at last year, I'm pretty sure though last year they were above Tampa in the regular season. Doesn't mean that they're going to be better in the playoffs. This is more like just my regular season kind of like. I think that regular season wise, they can make it above Tampa rather easily. And Tampa even just lost their whole third line too. Like that's a big chunk of their like identity just got like left behind from there, right? And that's a
that's
big
fair.
piece to replace.
I just look at the Florida's goalies and like I think Bobrovsky's getting worse every year.
But they also have Spencer Knight though, who's also
Spencer
potentially
up and
can supplant that pretty
but
good.
That's true. But like, is he actually going to have an impact? Like sure he played a few games last year and actually did well, but. Well, will he have a Carter Hart type of rookie season? Like we don't know. So I guess it comes down to goaltending. I think.
Yeah, I think Florida's got a deep roster too. I mean, they added Reinhart. They got Bennett now. They got 4 pretty solid lines if you look through the depth charts, and then their defense, Vlad and Uyghur, and then they got I guess Gudas still for the big tough guy. But then I think Spencer Knight's gonna steal like the starting role this season. I think from Bob. I think you're going to see Bob taper off a bit. I think Spencer Knight's going to play like 40 games. And he had really great numbers too. But
how is Florida going to get out of that contract with Bob?
They're going to have to buy him out. He's not.
How many more years is that?
You can't buy him out though, because that would be freaking like double his time and like a lot of dead cap space. Like, I
think he has 5 or 6 years left.
You have to ride it out for as many years as possible before you can like trade him, give away like picks or whatever else you can do. But yeah, that's gonna be
5 years, $10 million a year.
Yeah,
dude, that's disgusting.
That's why, you just don't pay goalies that money. They're just never worth it at the end.
No.
Yeah.
Even Price is still not worth $10 million.
Oh
no.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's pretty good set for the Atlantic Division. I think that one was pretty much unanimous. So why don't we move to that Metropolitan Division there? And Bryce, why don't you kick us off with that one too, with kind of your prediction there for that one?
So this one was a little bit more difficult, but I ended up going with Carolina, Washington, Islanders, and Pittsburgh. I actually have all 4 of them making the playoffs, and then Rangers, Philly, New Jersey, and Columbus at the bottom. I had some difficulties like choosing between Pittsburgh at the kind of last spot there, but ultimately I just went with them. I just figured as long as Crosby comes back at a decent time that they could squeak it out again. But
this is probably the hardest division to guess, I think, or the Central, I guess.
Yeah.
But I had Washington and Carolina as well. I had New York Islanders, New York Rangers, Philly, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and New Jersey. So I have Pittsburgh pretty far down. I had a tough decision. I originally had them in that 4th spot. And Malkin's out 2 months, but like that's not terrible. But Crosby, I think, is only out 2 weeks or something like that, and then he's back. So and Pittsburgh was really good last year. I think they were like 6th overall in the league or something like that.
Yeah.
So they probably could be good again. I just kind of felt like they were going to fall a bit this year. That's just kind of why I went that way. And I think Philly got a bit better, so I think they kind of just barely, just didn't make it in, I think, this year. And I think New York Rangers are going to make a push again. New York Islanders, super solid team. It's like a team of average players, but like, it's a super balanced team, and
That's all Barry Trotz right there.
Barry Trotz, yeah. And lots of people say Washington's like washed up and they're old and they're not going to be good. Like that's just kind of what I read online too, but I don't agree with that. They were really good last year and the team's basically the same. I think Kuznetsov, I think he's going to come back and prove himself again. So I have them sitting on top. I think that they could win that division. And then just Columbus and New Jersey, I just don't have the confidence in those two teams. New Jersey could go up a few spots, maybe. I don't have a lot of confidence in Columbus, though, but those are two at the bottom.
That's fair.
Cam, what do you think?
I'm kind of like, with Bryce there. I have Carolina number 1, then I have New York Islanders second, then Washington, then Philadelphia. For the teams I don't like, then it goes Pittsburgh, New York Rangers, Columbus, New Jersey. The final spot was tough. I couldn't decide between Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, or Rangers, which one could make it. Ultimately, I feel like Philadelphia has done enough in the offseason to justify that they might push for a playoff spot, so I went with Philadelphia. I just think that this is the year we'll see Pittsburgh finally not make playoffs if we exclude the 1920 season when they didn't make it because of play-ins. So I'm kind of curious what happened there. Washington, I realistically, if you look at those teams, like Washington probably shouldn't be in the playoffs if you compare them really to Pittsburgh and Rangers. But because who knows how good Samsonov's gonna be? Like he barely played last year, then there's still like rumblings around that he's just not up to par or up to speed right now. So if Washington doesn't have a good goalie in the back end, like what are they gonna do? Because ultimately,
I think Vanacek was still pretty solid there last year, I think, right? Like he played quite a bit of games.
But I think with a rejuvenated Ovi, with the new contract and everything, I think he's going to have a great year. So I think that's going to help with Washington at least finish above the last spot in the division for playoffs.
Yeah, they've proven to be a good regular season team over the years, so I don't know. I don't see them necessarily dropping out, at least not this year, maybe in a year or two, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anything could happen. New York Rangers ultimately could take over Pittsburgh and Philadelphia for that final spot, or even Washington. Who knows? But that's gonna be I'm actually really excited for that division just to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because that one's a tough one to predict. I think New York Rangers and Philly are gonna be really interesting.
Well, I think Philly's always one of those teams that it's one year they're really good, then the next year they always seem to really suck. They're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Like I just never know what you're getting with them. Like look at Hart. The one year he was like almost Vezina type, and then the year after that, he's one of the worst goalies in the league. So it's just who are you getting with that team sometimes? And they're really hard to really gauge. Like Pittsburgh's always been pretty.
I wonder why they're so inconsistent compared to some of those other teams. Because on paper, they've always been a pretty good team.
Yeah, they're hard to just.
Maybe Voracek was the X factor. That's why they dumped him.
We'll see.
Yeah. So I still have Washington taken first, and then Carolina, Islanders, Pittsburgh squeaking in. I probably have to rethink that too because I think Rangers could. I kind of changed my thing here, but I think Rangers and Philly are going to be right there. I think it's going to come down to the last game of the season or something on who's going to make it because Rangers have a solid squad too, and depending on how the rookies,
how the rookies do.
Capo Caco, they got so many X factors here. They could really have a good season. Philly added a lot of bulk in the offseason here. They really improved their roster, I feel so. And I think Hart could have a bounce back season, but I still see him just missing the playoffs. But you got Washington. I think their top 6 is fairly elite. I think their goalie tandem should be fine with Samsonov and Vintek Vanacek there, and then Carolina's got a pretty good squad too. I mean, we'll have to see how Anderson is, I guess, this season too. In net, that's kind of
the impact of Dougie Hamilton gone as well.
And Hamilton gone, They got
Dougie
Bear
Hamilton,
and D'Angelo, so that's huge too, right? But I think Islanders are going to be good.
I think Bear is going to turn into next Dougie Hamilton, honestly. That's how optimistic I am, like you, Trent, with everyone else.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm just
300 shots, 50 plus points.
I'm totally trolling here, but no. I hope Bear has a better season of Oilers. I'm still pissed off that we trade away Bear and signed CC, but whatever. We'll talk more about that later.
Exactly. And then Islanders are just a well-rounded team. They're going to make it, I think, over Rangers, but it's going to be tight. Like, it's probably going to be within a point or two, or maybe even, like I said, come down to the last game of the season. And then Philly's going to be right there, too. And then Columbus and Jersey are going to be just kind of bottom feeders. But, I mean, Jersey could have a decent season, too, I guess. They got some offensive hope there, but who knows? I guess we'll just wait and see how they pan out. Blackwood, I think, was the question mark there this season. Doesn't have his vaccine yet either, so got a few question marks. So
Yeah.
who knows if he plays? But
I don't think they'll be all that good. They have Ryan Graves on their top pairing. I don't know.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
They're going to be, just compared to the other teams, they're not going to
yeah,
make any noise in that.
they'll be in the draft lottery there for the first overall pick, but right on. So why don't we hop over to the Western Conference and let's start with the Central Division here. They're kind of a beast of the NHL here. So Bryce, what do you think about the Central Division here?
Well, you guys already probably know who I'm putting first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this one was like a little difficult. So I have Colorado like pretty confident like in the top of the division. I just think that they kind of, their roster is well built and they kind of proven to be at least a good regular season team. Mm-hmm. And then the rest beyond that was just a crapshoot, I feel like, with like the next 5 or 6 teams. So I ended up going with Dallas, and then Winnipeg, Chicago, and then St. Louis. And then I actually have all those teams making the playoffs. And then I have Minnesota, Nashville, and Arizona. And like I said, it was just with that last like 1 or 2 spots, I just I didn't know where to put some of those teams. I just feel like they all have really good strengths and weaknesses where it's just I can see any of them missing it and like Minnesota squeaking in rather easy or Minnesota finishing 3rd or something like that. But it's a pretty hard division to like gauge. I feel like there's not like really truly elite teams beyond like Colorado, but they're all like solid that are all like capable of being playoff teams in some of the other divisions, especially Pacific.
Yeah, it's like Colorado on the top, maybe Nashville, Arizona on the bottom, and the rest is like above average.
Yeah,
and it's just like, where do those all fall? Like, because they kind of like when you look at these teams, their roster, like they just seem almost like very similar, and that's why it's just so hard. Like I had Colorado, then Winnipeg, St. Louis, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago, Nashville, Arizona, and I think one that I think could kind of surprise some people is Chicago. I think it would be surprising if they did good. But if they have Taves back, that's a huge player to bring back. And then Seth Jones, and then Fleury's in that.
Yeah.
Then they got
healthy
Kirby Dach is also now like he can have like a little bit better.
Healthy,
year.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, healthy Kirby Dach. Another year of Kubalik.
Dominic Kubi, yeah. Mm-hmm. Kubalik.
Who else do they have there? Jujhar Khaira, man, that's a great guy.
Yeah.
Jujhar Khaira, that's
That's the difference.
Caleb Jones, the Jones brothers are just gonna dominate.
They got Strome too, Dylan Strome, and DeBrincat's still solid.
Dylan Strome's trash. He'll never be good. So that's
he's fourth line right now. Yeah.
They should have re-signed Pete Suter there. I don't know why they let him walk to Detroit.
Yeah, he was a solid little.
Yeah, he did pretty good.
Yeah.
Cam, what do you think? Kind of very similar to you, Clayton, except I don't have Minnesota making it in. So mine is Colorado, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Nashville, then Minnesota, Chicago, Dallas, Arizona. I don't think Dallas is going to do enough this year to be a playoff team again. I don't know. I don't have much faith in that team. Chicago, I have them having a better year, so that's why I have them ahead of Dallas. I think Minnesota, just because of the moves they made and stuff like that, they have the cap space. They made some signings. They still have Talbot in net.
Cap space for a year.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah.
And Kaprizov coming back and all that stuff. I still think they might push for a decent season. Don't think it's enough to make playoffs. I guess it really comes down to what Nashville is going to do. I think no matter what, St. Louis is going to make playoffs, but Nashville is the one that are they going to make it? They've been going through years of last year they just didn't look that great.
Wait, so you actually have Nashville making playoffs then?
I have Nashville making playoffs. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty different. And yeah, you have Dallas second last. I have them second in overall.
Yeah.
That's,
that's a big difference. Yeah, holy shit.
I don't trust enough of Dallas for them to justify making playoffs.
I mean, the reason why I chose Dallas was like you have a healthier Sagan back now. Like that's a pretty big add to their roster. You have maybe hopefully a better year from Heiskanen, and then their goaltending is maybe not as good as it used to be. But then Radulov also didn't play last year for them either, and like they only missed the playoffs by 4 points. And I think I looked and it was 14 of those games were in the overtime that they lost. So a few of those games go a different way. Then they're in the playoffs last year too. So I don't know. That was without Sagan and Radulov. So you add them to the roster.
Two X factors.
Then you bring in Hintz, like hopefully another full year of him, and then that Robertson guy. Like I don't know. I feel like
that's fair.
Like their team is fair, and then they add Ryan Suter to their defense, right? Like he's still a capable NHL player. Like I don't see them finishing second last behind, like say at Nashville, just because Nashville, like when you have Duchesne as like $8 million player on your roster and he's not very good.
I just think Nashville is one of those teams that just consistently performs well in the regular season, kind of like Washington.
I mean,
so I just see them.
Yeah.
I see. Losing Ellis doesn't help. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have a soft spot for Nashville, so I think they're gonna do it.
Well, this is what I think of the Central. I think Colorado's going to easily take that one. They're probably going to win the President's Trophy this year, too, even. And then I have Minnesota second. I was looking at their roster. Like, they're fairly big roster. I mean, I don't know. I think their goaltending was really strong last year, too. I mean, they bought out a couple of their older guys, re-signed Kaprizov. They're going to be close to Dallas, I think. So Dallas I have at third place here. And then St. Louis is right behind them for that 4th spot, I think. And then it's going to be like Winnipeg right behind them. And I have Winnipeg making like the final wild card spot in the West. And then Nashville is just back of them, and then Chicago, then Arizona. And Arizona's going to be like quite a bit down. Like they're going to get blown out every game. But I think
that's probably true.
I don't know. I think Minnesota just like last year they had a hell of a season. They had some solid tending. Like Talbot had great numbers. I think he's ranked pretty high too this year for fantasy and stuff like that. They re-signed Kaprizov. Then they lose Suter and Parise there from the buyout and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna look at the roster here quick just to see. But they had some good, like Fiala is still solid. They got Eriksson Ek, Zuccarello. They still got some like deep. They got like I'd say 3 good lines. They got that Boldy coming up this year. I don't know if their defense. I think their defense got a little bit worse. I guess.
I think it's just gonna tough because like, it's like Bryce said. Like if there's gonna be 3 teams, if you look at Minnesota, Nashville, or Dallas, realistically Dallas should make it. I put Nashville there just because I want Nashville to make it.
Yeah.
But I don't think Minnesota's gonna do enough to make playoffs. I firmly believe Winnipeg is definitely, and St. Louis is definitely better than Minnesota.
That's fair.
So like, that's my opinion there. I just like. Hellbuck is an unreal goalie, and then Binnington's gonna have a better season. Just look at St. Louis, man. They got freaking Buchnevich now. Tarasenko's back, regardless of how his off ice issues is
Brandon
with the team.
Saad.
He's Brian Saad, Ron O'Reilly still, Ray Shen. They have
Kyrou he's probably gonna have a big year.
Yeah.
Their D, like I assume, like what's his name? Wasn't he injured last year a little bit?
Parayko,
yeah.
Parayko. Like he should be back healthy.
Yeah.
So I think that's like Minnesota, like you said, their trend. They have some good players still, and they have a good team. Like if anything out of that team, if I'm gonna be realistic here, Dallas will likely make it with outside of Nashville and Minnesota, but it's gonna be one of those 3 teams: Nashville, Minnesota, Dallas, taking one of those spots.
Yeah. And I mean, I have them, like I have both of St. Louis and Winnipeg still making playoffs in the West just because of the wild card spots or whatever. So I do have them still making it. But yeah, I think Dallas will have a great season. Just look at their lineup too. And they have like still got Klinkberg, Heiskanen. Like they got really good defense, and then that Ottinger and
It's funny how
Dobin too in net, but like
Well, their
I
goaltenders,
just
they got
laugh.
three kind of
Three.
NHL goalies that they
Yeah.
can choose from.
And apparently Bishop
I
might be
just
coming back too, but
Yeah, to Bishop, yeah.
Yeah.
But Clayton, I remember like talking to you about it. I kept like because one of my drafts here, I kept telling you about Rupe Hintz, man. Like he's gonna have a breakout year. He's gonna be a huge year.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
didn't
kinda funny
even.
how-
It's funny, like to me, I didn't even notice. It seemed like he had a quiet, good year last year. So I think Dallas could have a really good year this year.
Yeah. They could, yeah. I just find it funny how I have him not in the playoffs, but I was just pumping them up to you before.
Flavor of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, it should be a
Must be-
tight. That should be a tight division, though. I think for
Yeah.
this middle 5 teams, essentially, or
I
6
think it
teams,
is.
even, you could-
Whoever gets like a good start, I think that's going to kind of separate. Because what isn't it like
Or
by
injuries.
what, American Thanksgiving? Whoever's usually in the playoffs, like, that almost is like pretty high, odds of actually making the playoffs. At
The
end.
odds are pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think whoever has like a good start and they kind of just ride it out. And
I think
Yeah.
now is that still the same thing because NHL season starting 2 weeks later than typical. So I wonder if that's different now. Maybe it's like end of November.
well, I mean, yeah, in around that time frame, I guess.
Yeah.
Then like
yeah.
a month and a half, because it's so hard to gain in the league nowadays, and all those division games are
Do you
so
think-
important.
Well, actually, I'll ask this question after we're done the Pacific Division, but
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be yeah.
For sure. Bryce, you want to kick off the Pacific Division then here to kind of round out the West?
Yeah, is this even NHL division here? What is this? This is holy. Okay, I
Well,
mean,
don't worry, one of them's gonna win the cup.
oh man, this is ugly. Well, I think everybody probably knows this, Vegas is just class of that division
Yeah.
rather easily, and then Edmonton, as much as it pains me to say, should be the second best team in that division. And then after that, it was just I went with LA as more of just a gut feeling than anything. I don't think they're a great team. And then after that, it was Vancouver, then Calgary, and then Seattle, and then San Jose, and then Anaheim. Like overall, it's just pretty ugly division with a lot of pretty weak teams. I feel like in the West.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
but I think those weak teams are gonna be like anything can happen then in the bottom 4 essentially, or bottom 5. Like
Yeah.
it's so weak that one of Seattle may even make playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there's gonna be a real weak team in that third spot. That makes
Oh
it.
no, 100%.
That should not even be in the playoffs.
Probably Edmonton Oilers, so that's okay.
if one of the other teams are above others, you guys have bigger problems.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so mine is Vegas and Edmonton at the top. I'm sure most of us have that. I have Vancouver in that third spot, but like it's kind of as hard as the freaking Atlantic, but just for like
The opposite.
picking who's the best out of a bunch of bad teams. But I said Vancouver, then Seattle, then Calgary, then LA, San Jose, and Anaheim at the bottom.
Shit, that sounds exactly like mine, pretty much. Close.
It'd probably be all similar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have Vegas, Edmonton, and then I think what's different with me and then other you guys is I have Calgary, and then Vancouver, and then Seattle, San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim. I think we're gonna see the 3 Canadian teams make it this year again. Well, not again, but make it. I don't know. I just really want like a Calgary versus or Edmonton versus Calgary first round playoffs, so that's why I have Calgary finishing 3rd, and then Vancouver. If Pedersen and Quinn Hughes come back, add in some of their deals, a better year of Demko. Like you never know, they could make playoffs.
The only thing with them
Anything
though
can happen
is
with
they haven't
those.
even been training camp, so I'm kind of worried if they don't come back and they're not up to speed, and like again they fall behind a little bit, and all
Rough
his
start.
other teams just to kind of have a
That's-
decent start, right? Like they haven't been skating.
That's true.
Like I don't know.
But those are superstar players in a way. So
Oh, for sure, yeah.
is it going to impact? Is it going to impact them that much? It might for the first month.
But then there's also
But-
rumblings of Hamonic might want to retire too. That might not want to play this year, and that's a big chunk
Really?
of their team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
were to go,
'cause-
he's playing on their top line, so that could be potentially,
So Hamonic is asking for a trade to USA because he's unvaccinated, and since there's limited travel in USA, that he can play there as unvaccinated. So he doesn't want to get vaccinated here. So he's either going to retire or get traded.
Wow.
What? I never heard of that at all. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's a hit to their decor. A guy that I'm curious on this team, what he's going to do is Ekman Larson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, I think that's going to be a big, factor in what this team does. I don't really know what to expect from him.
He's been pretty overrated ever
man,
since that 1 year, I feel like.
I think he's very overrated, and I'm happy Oilers never traded for him. But like, if that first training camp day is any indication of what his condition is, he's gonna be dog shit.
Yeah, you see how slow he was? Like, he was
Really?
behind
I didn't see
by
that.
a mile.
It was the reverse of McDavid.
McDavid,
Remember
yeah.
McDavid
Oh.
blew
It
everyone
was
else out of the
literally-
water, but it was the opposite for Ekman Larson.
Yeah,
So behind, but
Oh, no.
but it's true. Like, I guess like okay, who did you have there? Did you have Calgary in the playoffs, Bryce?
No, I had LA, but it was like it was kind of like between LA, Vancouver, Calgary, and like Seattle. Maybe kind of surprised.
I don't think LA's done enough to really justify that. But that's your
That's kind of
picking there. It's kind of like my Nashville picking.
yeah. It was more like more of a gut feeling than anything. I think like they added Danault, they added Arvidsson if he kind of can be relatively healthy, and if they that Byfield guy maybe comes in and plays. They have Velarde too, which he was kind of improving by the sounds of it last year, and he was kind of a highly touted prospect for a while there. Like I don't know, I looked at all the teams and they all have major weaknesses in each spot. And I kind of just picked the one I gut feeling, I guess, more than anything.
That's fair.
that's fair, yeah. So I
We're
have
pretty close. So I
yeah. I'm pretty similar to all you guys. Like, I had Vegas, Edmonton are kind of the top two for sure, and then like 20 points down, then I have Seattle just squeaking into that third spot, but I have them tied with Vancouver, so it's going to be like down to the wire for those two. I think Vancouver could have a way better season, though. They added some good pieces. And then if Hughes and Pettersson sign here, and I think Pettersson was kind of hurt on and off last year too, wasn't he? Kind of, it didn't really play up.
I think he's hurt right now too with a wrist
Compliment.
injury or something.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
still got a nagging injury, so I think if he comes back healthy too, they could have a good bounce back. I think Seattle might have a chance, but like I said, it could come down to that last game, and then I think Calgary could be right there, but I don't have them making the playoffs. Then I have LA, San Jose, and Anaheim, and San Jose and Anaheim are just going to be dog shit, like just horrid,
Yeah.
probably like terrible teams. LA could have a little bit more of a bright spot, but I just looked at LA's roster too. They're pretty bad, but like
yeah.
they have an aging core like Kopitar, Doughty, and Brown and whatnot, but they do have some good rookie prospects coming up, so they might have a good offset balance there. And then Calgary, I don't know what they're going to do though. That's why I kind of had a hard time putting Seattle above Calgary, but I just feel like Calgary's just been like, they don't know what their identity is. Like, they don't know, like, they just don't know what the hell they are.
They're
Like,
just very
staying out
vanilla
there
of a
and-
team. There's just nothing about them that
Yeah.
screams like, oh my god, they're going to be good. At least there, like their top six is solid, but their
Yeah.
defense. You look at their defense; it's not great, and then
No.
they're going to rely on a Markstrom to do a lot of heavy lifting there. And I don't know. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
and they
surprised
lost
if they.
Giordano, and
Yeah.
Giordano was getting old, but he was still like a pretty good defenseman for him. And I don't think getting Zadorov and Goodbranson do them any favors either.
Yeah, like, they just
Another
got
guy
goons,
too that
yeah.
has kind of seems to have dropped off a bit is Monahan as well.
Yeah,
He was really. I think we had talked a while back that he was really good for a number of years, and it seems like he's kind of dropped off. And so I think he's a guy that will have to step up for them to do well. Like Lindholm, Kachuk, and Gaudreau, they'll have a good season.
Yeah.
Coleman probably comes in and just does
Coleman,
what he does.
Yeah.
Mangiapane is in the top six. I'm not sure if he's just really a top six guy.
Yeah.
And then they got the anchor there, Lucic.
Yeah, he is bad, man. He's so slow.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's
Yeah.
gonna be in the league very long. I don't know.
I'm so happy we made that trade because like Lucic had a buyout, like he couldn't buy him out.
Yeah, he had a restriction there. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't buy him out. So I'm so happy we were able to get Neil to buy him out. It's just like I can't imagine how Lucic would be on the Oilers right now. Like, could you seriously have that boat anchor on our fourth
Next
line, just
McDavid?
dragging everyone down?
Yeah. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Takes up a roster spot, man.
Yeah. Takes up a lot of
So-
space. Yeah.
I think it's some good predictions there. I have one question. So because this is a year that we're going to go Olympics, and say they do go Olympics, do you think there's any teams that's really hot going to Olympic break that they come out and it might screw, like the Olympics might screw them up? where they might not continue that streak afterwards, and it might actually cost them a playoff spot? Is there any
like
teams there that
maybe like a fringe team, maybe that
Yeah.
has some big
do you
stars
think
still?
that could impact maybe the East? Because think about it, say Crosby goes to the Olympics, he will, and he gets injured.
Yeah.
Or Philadelphia, Sean Couturier might make Canadian team for a bottom line center if possible, or even Boston in terms of Patrice Bergeron, Marchand, stuff like that. Do you think any of those teams could have could get affected significantly if they go Olympics and come back and say one of them's injured, or they just don't they lose their hot streak and they kind of cost them a few weeks after Olympic break? What do you think?
That's kind of tough to say. So I think the whole momentum thing too, because the break is how long again? Is it a couple?
It's like
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's almost a month.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a long break then. Holy shit! That's gonna kill any momentum any team has really going into that.
But the thing is, though, I think
Because,
people could heal up too, right? Some there's injuries and stuff like that. 3 weeks could help some of those other teams that are more banged up, right? I don't know. I think it goes
It can
both
go both
ways,
ways.
right? It might help some of the older guys, kind of get a second win for that end run for some of those older teams maybe, but it also could just completely slow them down. I don't. It goes both ways. I feel with that Olympic break. But yeah, for Colorado, I know they'll have a lot of guys going to the Olympics potentially, and for Kemper, for example, if he makes Team Canada as a third string, that guy gets injured just going up skating for a little warm up there. I'm afraid that they'll take him out there, that he might get hurt, and then that's right before Colorado's playoffs. That's why I hope
You have to rely on Francouz.
that's why I hope some of these other guys will Blackwood gets vaccinated, because then he'll at least fight him for that last goalie spot and stuff like that. So I don't know. The Olympics are always a tough spot, because didn't somebody get hurt last Olympics and stuff like that? Stamkos got hurt at the Olympics, didn't he? Or was that
Stamkos.
that 1 year? And then
because we're in China this year for Olympics, and is there any players you think, any big impactful players on USA or Canada or even Russia or some other European teams that might be I'm not going to China, I'm not going to go there and play Olympics? You opt out. You think there's any big boys that could do that?
I personally don't see it really. I just feel the Olympics games is kind of just one of those things
I think they
all
want to play
want
in
to
the
play.
Olympics no matter what.
It was a pretty big sticking
No matter
point
what.
of the NHLPA there. That's what they really wanted. So I feel if you get invited, you almost have to go, or at least they'll want to.
I guess we'll see. I'm kind of curious,
especially since most of them don't always have that chance, right? Some of them might get one chance, to go to that. So.
Well, I still find it pretty ridiculous they didn't go last time. McDavid would have been 21 last time.
Oh yeah,
Dude, he would have just been dynamite, especially in South Korea there on the big ice.
he's been dying to go. That's why he's so pumped too for China. He's oh yeah, if I make the roster, I'll be happy. But it's okay, man.
If I make
a little bit too modest there.
I know.
Yeah, come on, buddy.
It's kind of sad. Yeah, it's almost like Crosby, because remember 2006, Crosby could have went to Olympics and they never took him. They took that aging vet team to Torino, and they didn't even make the medal round.
Yeah, they got
Oh
stomped.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Crosby in a way, because Crosby didn't make his first Olympics till he was 25, 26, 20, maybe he was 25 or 24. Can't remember. Around there, he was around that age, similar to McDavid's age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if McDavid and Crosby play together, because I know that there was a rumor that they played as line mates in the pre-Olympic camp or something that they had. I don't know if I think lots of people think that he plays Crosby plays with Bergeron and Marchand again, but that'd be a crazy little line.
Right, Clayton.
Yeah.
I remember reading about that. It was McKinnon, McDavid, and Crosby on the same line.
Yeah.
They just load up
Three
everybody.
centers, yeah.
But it's why not, man? I would love to see
Well,
that.
they have so many good centers anyway. It doesn't matter who they play where,
Yeah.
right? Bergeron will be
It's a
fourth
team of
line center.
centers, man.
All their guys can play center any position. So you're gonna have lines
Yeah,
like that. You can experiment with
Bergeron's-
whatever.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Bergeron would be strictly in that PK type of defensive role.
Oh yeah,
Just
for
winning
sure.
face-offs and everything. Yeah, that'd be solid. I can't wait to watch that though. It's gonna be. Imagine seeing that though. That'd be a fast line, man. They'd just be flying out there. I couldn't even imagine. The plays
McKinnon and
they're
McDavid coming
creating.
down. Crosby doing
Oh
his
my
crazy
God.
passes.
On the wings, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Poor defense, man.
Shit.
They'll be playing against China, guys that barely even know how to skate over there, and those games can get out of hand.
Oh my God,
Not
they are
fair.
playing.
Yeah, because China has to be in the. They'll have to be in, right?
No.
Like,
Oh my god, dude! Dude, that's gonna be like a 50-1 game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mercy rule or something.
Most points ever gotten.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there even any players in China that know how to skate? Like, are they even allowed to go to ice rink there?
Just
I'm
bring the runners out.
I'm sure they are. Like, I don't know who would be on their team. They do like some of that stuff where they, kind of have like the
Wait,
secondary
isn't there a
citizens kind of thing.
Chinese? Isn't there a Chinese or a KHL team?
I think there is. I know there was at one point.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Kunlun, something like that, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, Kunlun the Red Star. They're based out of Beijing, China.
Wow.
In the KHL.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay, so they do. Is there actually any Chinese players on that team? That's the question.
I feel like most of it'd be like Russian because it isn't a KHL team.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely.
I'm just gonna check real quick here. You never know. Literally, no Chinese. It says here. I'm seeing no Chinese-born players. Dude, that's where that Parker Fu guy. Remember how pumped up he was, or everyone pumped him up in Calgary a couple years ago? They signed him,
Oh, I think I remember that.
and his brother's there. Spencer Fu.
Oh, Spencer
They have another
Fu, yeah.
Asian. It's a Canadian. He's from Concord. Tyler Wong. I guess he has some Asians on that team. Hunter Shikarik's on that team. They have a Ryan Spruill. Recognize these guys' names?
Tyler Wong, maybe, but that's what. I think there was one in residence or something. Clayton, wasn't there?
Danny Cristo. Holy crap, man. A lot of... That's funny. Wait, isn't this the team where McTavish went to go coach?
Not too
In the
sure.
KHL Cup? After he,
Was it?
After
Yeah, which
Ken
team
Holm
was
came in?
that? Frick, which team was that? I thought it was like Locomotive. No, it wasn't Locomotive, was it?
I don't know.
remember.
It's kind of interesting, though.
Yeah. Huh, right on. Well, that's good. That was a fun episode doing all the standings and stuff, but I guess time will tell kind of where all the rosters kind of mesh together here and how the teams kind of start out. But I think definitely, like you guys said, like the first month or whatnot is definitely crucial to any team, I think, and just see if some of these last few RFAs here, especially Vancouver, just like Pedersen and Hughes signed. But
I think they were just saying on Twitter that Hughes might be close on Hughes for a contract.
oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was like a bridge contract or something like that, or at least.
Do they even have cap space to sign both of them? That's the question. Like,
I think they did. I think that's what they were looking at. I think that's what they were looking at, like a bridge deal. I think. 'Cause I know I did read about Hughes with like they wanted like around like $6 million for a bridge or something, but
They got like
so they have
13
Okay, they
million.
got 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13.7 million cap space, so they have enough there to sign both of them to like a bridge.
What about Kachuk too? He still hasn't signed. Brady Kachuk.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Like they have so much.
That's
cap.
Ottawa for you though.
They have so much. cap space.
But that's what's his name? That's the owner. That's Melnick. He doesn't want to pay him money.
well, the thing though is if they pay him a lot of money for getting like 40 to 50 points, what are they going to have to pay in a few years for like that Stetzel guy and stuff like that, right? Like you had to look at the future. Like look what happened with Tavares when he got 10 million.
Yeah.
Marner Matthews
Yeah.
wanted 10+ million too, so it just like kind of messes your
Yeah.
cap structure.
Yeah.
So you can't just hand the guy all the money in the world. You had to like kind of fight for
Well,
every little bit of money there.
They kind of already did with Tom Shabbat getting $8 million.
I mean, yeah, but what was his deal was pretty long though. And then, but they're a different player though. One's a winger, one's a number one D man. And at the time, like I don't know, you're paying for points, I guess too, right? Like points is what really gets you paid at the end of the day in the league.
Yeah.
And he's only really done 40 to
I don't
50
know.
points. Like he probably it would be worth the 8 million, but again, you had to watch out for paying a 50, 60
He's
point
worth
guy.
$8 million fantasy wise, right?
Yeah, yeah. Number 5 in fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he does sign though, he's probably gonna have a breakout year this year. I see him hitting 60+ points.
Yeah, and like 400 some
good.
hits and 400 shots.
That team just doesn't really get much power play points, so that's kind of hard for him. He'd have to get like 50 plus
that's
points
right.
on the
A healthy-
5v5.
A healthy Shabbat, a better season of Tim Stutzel. I think even they got still have Jake Bratherson, Colin White, a few other decent like secondary players.
Well,
Like, their power play could theoretically increase. Like, it should,
Well, it should.
because you have Tim Stützle, who's probably going to be their star player this next season.
He should be. Yeah. Matt Murray's still in that too. Yeah, I have a chance, but
I really like the Stützle guy, so I think he's just going to be dynamite. I think he's going to turn out to be better than Lafreniere.
Yeah, when I watched the Ottawa games, he like kind of reminded me of like McKinnon a bit when he was skating with the puck and stuff like that. He just looked pretty damn good. Like you can just tell he's going to be maybe a year or two, but he'll definitely break out at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The Germans, man, they're producing some good players.
They are, man. Like
Draisaitl, Stützle, more Seider.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No.
Yeah, they're all pretty high end though. That's just the past few years.
Talent, yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
and they still have Grubauer in net, so
Yeah. Perfect.
right on. Well, should we call our episode? That was a pretty good one, right? Kept her under our time limit, which is pretty good. But
we're not gonna do Stanley Cup Finals.
45 minutes. Yeah. I think we'll see if we're planning to do that for another episode. So you want to join in the next one there, Bryce, and help do the Stanley Cup Final, the playoffs?
Yeah, possibly.
We want to separate it because, like, it could be
could talk forever on that one probably, but
probably do it next week. I think we're planning because that's part of our schedule. There was to do a separate episode for that one, I believe.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Right on. Perfect. Well,
Perfect.
It's good to have you on, Bryce. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Problem.
Good stuff.
It's pretty fun.
Right on, yeah. So we'll have to kick it off for the next episode, episode 11. Or episode 12. We'll do that next week, probably sometime. Hopefully, really next week.
Yep.
But till then, we'll catch you guys later. So, cheers and have a good night.
See ya.
Peace.
Thanks, everyone.